Why do we let the wrong people take up so much space in our lives? Think about it. How many times have you tolerated someone's negativity, made excuses for their toxic behavior, or stuck around just because you felt guilty leaving? The Stoics had a different approach. They didn't waste time trying to fix, argue with, or change people. Instead, they focused on one thing: controlling their own peace. In this video, we're breaking down 7 Stoic strategies to stop letting energy-draining people control your life. By the end, you'll know exactly how to set boundaries like a philosopher, walk away like an emperor, and reclaim your mental freedom. Let's get started. Strategy number 1: ghost them like a Roman emperor. Why do we feel guilty about leaving? Ever notice how society guilt trips people into keeping toxic relationships alive? We're told that ghosting is rude, that cutting people off is selfish, and that we owe others an explanation for our absence. But here's the real question: do they owe you peace? Do they owe you emotional stability? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, didn't have time for people who drained his energy. He didn't hold on to toxic relationships out of guilt. He simply moved on. If a Roman emperor didn't waste time explaining why someone no longer had a seat at his table, why should you? People who drain you will replace you anyway. Toxic people aren't attached to you. They're attached to what you provide: your attention, your kindness, your patience. So ask yourself, if I disappeared from their life today, would they even notice? Or would they just find someone else to drain? Chances are they'd move on faster than you think. Energy vampires always find new hosts. So why waste time feeling guilty? Ghosting isn't cruel, it's survival. Some people will tell you that ghosting is heartless, but you know what's truly heartless? Expecting someone to stay in a relationship that's draining them. Stoics didn't believe in unnecessary suffering. They didn't believe in making excuses for people who constantly brought stress and negativity into their lives. So here's the uncomfortable truth: you don't have to explain why you're walking away. You don't have to soften the blow for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. You don't owe toxic people closure. A Stoic doesn't beg, argue, or over-explain. A Stoic chooses peace and moves on. What's more important, your peace or their feelings? At the end of the day, you have to decide what matters more: protecting your energy or keeping someone else comfortable at your expense. Prioritizing your mental well-being or avoiding the awkwardness of cutting ties. If you're always choosing other people's comfort over your own sanity, you'll always be exhausted. Your move: if someone has been draining you, this is your permission slip to leave. No long speeches, no guilt, just exit. Have you ever ghosted someone for your own peace? Do you believe in clean breakups, or do you think people deserve an explanation? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Strategy number 2: build your indifference muscle. Why do toxic people have power over you? Ever notice how some people seem to thrive on making you react? They push your buttons, drain your energy, and leave you feeling exhausted while they walk away perfectly fine. Why does this happen? Because they feed off your emotions. The more you argue, explain, or try to fix things, the more control they have over you. This is exactly why the Stoics mastered indifference, not as a way to ignore life, but as a strategy to protect their inner peace. Indifference is not weakness, it's strength. People confuse indifference with apathy, but they're not the same. Apathy is when you stop caring about life. Indifference is when you stop letting people control your emotions. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it." That means you could be insulted, ignored, or guilt-tripped, but if you don't react the way they expect, they lose power over you. So ask yourself, when someone criticizes you, do you instantly get defensive? When someone ignores your message, do you overthink it? When someone plays victim, do you feel responsible? If yes, then you've been letting others control your emotions. Energy vampires hate indifference. Toxic people want one thing: a reaction. They complain because they want your sympathy. They start drama because they want your attention. They play victim because they want you to feel guilty. But what happens when you stop reacting? They get bored. Imagine a toxic person yelling at a brick wall. The wall doesn't argue, doesn't defend itself, doesn't even acknowledge them. Be that wall. Watch how quickly they move on to find someone else to drain. The power of the "so what" mindset. One of the fastest ways to build your indifference muscle is to ask yourself, so what? Someone is spreading rumors about you. So what? Someone is ignoring you. So what? Someone is trying to manipulate you. So what? This doesn't mean you ignore real problems. It means you stop giving unnecessary energy to things that don't deserve it. Because let's be real, will this matter in 5 years? If not, why waste 5 minutes on it? Your move. Indifference isn't about being cold, it's about being in control. You decide where your energy goes, not them. What's one situation where you could have been indifferent, but weren't? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you handle these moments. Strategy number 3, control the access, not just the damage. Why are you always cleaning up after people? Ever feel like you're constantly fixing problems that never should have happened in the first place? A friend betrays you, a co-worker oversteps, a family member manipulates you, so you spend time setting boundaries after the damage is done. But by then, you're already drained. Seneca had the right idea when he said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Instead of always trying to clean up after toxic people, what if you just never let them in? Stop handing out VIP passes. Most people treat access to their life like a public event. Everyone gets in, no screening, no security check. Just an open-door policy for anyone who wants to walk through. Then they wonder why they keep getting hurt, used, or drained. Think about it this way. Would a high-end club let just anyone pass the velvet rope? No, they check if you belong there first. Your life should work the same way. Not everyone deserves a VIP pass. Some people belong in the nosebleed seats. Some people don't deserve a ticket at all. Early boundaries save you from future headaches. A lot of people don't set boundaries until they've been burned. But that's like locking your doors after a thief has already robbed you. Instead of fixing problems later, prevent them from happening. That friend who only calls when they need something. Don't engage. That co-worker who tries to dump their work on you. Say no immediately. That relative who guilt trips you every holiday. Don't answer the phone. People can only take advantage of you if you give them access. How to know who deserves access? Before you let someone get too close, ask yourself, do I feel good after spending time with them, or drained? Do they bring value to my life, or just take from it? Would I choose to meet this person today if I had never known them before? If the answer is no, then why are they still in your life? Your move. You don't have to fix every toxic situation. You just have to stop letting toxic people in. Who in your life has too much access to you? What's one boundary you need to set now? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. Strategy number 4. Charge rent for your peace of mind. Your mind is prime real estate. Think of your mind like a high-end apartment. It has limited space, a great view, and should only be occupied by people who deserve to be there. Now ask yourself, how many people are living rent-free in your head right now? That friend who constantly complains but never changes. That co-worker whose passive-aggressive comments still bother you. That ex you haven't spoken to in years but still takes up mental space. If someone isn't bringing value, why are they still in your mental penthouse? Toxic people don't pay rent, they squat. The worst tenants are the ones who contribute nothing but expect to stay forever. Toxic people are just like that. They don't add peace, wisdom, or strength to your life. They just take up emotional and mental space, leaving you drained. The Stoics understood this. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the stress toxic people cause us isn't from what they do, it's from how much we let them live in our minds long after they're gone. The Stoic landlord mindset. If you wouldn't let a stranger live in your home without paying rent, why let people live in your mind for free? If someone only brings negativity, raise the rent. That means demanding better or showing them the door. If someone drains your energy but gives nothing in return, evict them. No explanation needed. If someone from your past still haunts your thoughts, send them an invoice for wasted time. Metaphorically, of course. Who gets to stay? Not everyone should be kicked out, but everyone should be evaluated. Before letting someone take up space in your life, ask, do they make me feel at peace or constantly on edge? Do they bring wisdom, encouragement, or growth? Would I let this person in if I met them today for the first time? If the answer is no, it's time to clear some space. Your move. Start treating your mental energy like a luxury asset. Not everyone deserves access. Who's been taking up space in your mind without paying rent? What's one way you can start reclaiming that space today? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Strategy number 5. Let their chaos be their problem. Are you carrying burdens that aren't yours? Ever feel like you're constantly fixing other people's messes? Maybe it's a friend who always needs rescuing, a co-worker who never pulls their weight, or a family member who thrives on drama. At some point, you have to ask yourself, why am I making their problems my responsibility? Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that suffering comes from attachment, not just to people, but to things we can't control. And let's be honest, most of the problems people dump on you aren't even yours to solve. Some people like living in chaos. Here's a hard truth. Some people don't want solutions. They complain, but never change. They ask for advice, then ignore it. They create problems, then expect others to clean them up. A Stoic doesn't waste energy trying to fix what can't be fixed. Instead of jumping into their storm, they stand on solid ground and observe. They refuse to be pulled into chaos that isn't theirs. Ask yourself, do I care more about fixing their life than they do? Have I given the same advice multiple times with no change? Would they do the same for me if the roles were reversed? If the answer is no, stop carrying what isn't yours. A Stoic saves themselves first. Imagine someone drowning in the ocean, thrashing and panicking. You jump in to save them, but instead of helping, they pull you under with them. Now, instead of one person drowning, there are two. This is what happens when you take on other people's chaos. Instead of lifting them up, they drag you down. Seneca once said, you must live for yourself first. That doesn't mean being selfish. It means protecting your peace so you can actually be useful to the world. You can't help anyone if you're constantly drowning in their problems. Detach without guilt. Letting go of someone else's chaos doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a rational one. If someone refuses to take responsibility for their life, let them feel the consequences. If someone keeps making bad choices, let them learn the hard way. If someone is always in crisis, step back and ask yourself, is this my emergency? Most of the time, the answer is no. Your move. Not everyone deserves a spot in your mental space. If someone is dragging you into their chaos, step back and let them handle it. What's one problem you've been holding onto that isn't really yours? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you're taking back your peace. Strategy number 6. Play the "would this matter in 10 years" game. Are you wasting energy on the wrong things? Think about the last time you were stressed out because of someone else's drama. Maybe it was an argument, a passive-aggressive comment, or someone trying to guilt-trip you. Now, be honest, will this matter in 10 years? Most of the things we lose sleep over today won't even cross our minds a decade from now. But in the moment, we let them take over our emotions, our time, and our peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, had his fair share of toxic people to deal with. His solution: zoom out, see the big picture. Ask yourself, will this still matter when I look back on my life? Your time is your most valuable asset. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Yet, we spend so much of it on things that don't actually matter. That coworker who made a rude remark, not worth your time. That friend who keeps flaking on you, not worth your time. That stranger on the internet trying to argue, definitely not worth your time. The Stoics believed in preserving mental energy for what actually matters, things like wisdom, self-discipline, and inner peace. So, the next time you're about to engage in pointless drama, stop and ask, would my future self thank me for spending energy on this? If not, walk away. Most things are just temporary noise. The truth is, people come and go, friendships change, jobs change, opinions change. The things that feel overwhelming today will probably be nothing more than a passing memory in the future. That person who insulted you, they won't even remember what they said. That mistake you made, you'll laugh about it one day. That person ignoring you, you'll forget their name eventually. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." In other words, we make things bigger in our heads than they actually are. But when you step back and see the bigger picture, you realize most things don't deserve your attention. How to use this game in real life. The next time you catch yourself getting frustrated, anxious, or defensive, try this simple game. Pause, take a deep breath before reacting. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? If the answer is no, let it go. Sounds simple, right? But most people never do it. Instead, they waste years of their life obsessing over things that don't even matter. Your move, your time and energy are limited. Don't spend them on things that won't matter in the long run. What's one situation in your life that felt huge at the time, but turned out to be meaningless later? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Strategy number 7. Give them a standing ovation and leave the theater. Why are you still watching a bad movie? Some people live for drama. They create problems where none exist, start fights just to feel important, and thrive on making others emotionally exhausted. And yet, here you are, still watching, still reacting, still playing a role in their never-ending production of chaos, the series. Why? A Stoic wouldn't waste time sitting through a bad play. They'd clap, nod, and walk out. They wouldn't boo, argue with the actors, or demand a rewrite. They'd simply leave. Toxic people are just actors in their own play. Think of the most dramatic, energy-draining person in your life. You know the type, the one who always has a new crisis, a new enemy, or a new reason why life is unfair. They're not talking to you, they're performing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." In other words, if you stop giving them an audience, their show falls apart. When they try to start drama, don't engage. When they insult you, don't react. When they guilt-trip you, don't explain yourself. The moment you stop playing your part, their performance loses power. Give them what they want, then walk away. Here's where it gets interesting. Instead of arguing, give them a standing ovation. If they're ranting about how awful their life is, wow, incredible, you should write a book. If they're playing the victim, truly an Oscar-worthy performance. If they're trying to bait you into a fight, fantastic effort. 10/10, I'm out. Then leave, don't argue. Don't explain, just exit the theater. They can keep acting, but you won't be watching. Your peace is worth more than their drama. Ask yourself, why am I giving my energy to someone who enjoys draining it? Seneca once said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. That means surrounding yourself with people who bring peace, not chaos. If someone's life is an endless performance of conflict, let them have their show. Just don't buy a ticket. Your move, your attention is valuable. Stop wasting it on bad performances. Who in your life thrives on drama? What's one way you can start leaving the theater today? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. At the end of the day, you can't control toxic people, but you can control how much access they have to your life. You can stop reacting to their nonsense. You can cut off the ones who don't respect you. You can walk away without guilt. That's not being cold, that's being wise. And if the Stoics were alive today, they'd tell you the same thing. Your peace is your responsibility. So here's your challenge. Who in your life is draining you right now? And what's one boundary you need to set today to protect your peace? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you're taking back your energy. And if this hit home, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.